Hey guys, this is Ankit and welcome to the Google Cloud Platform Task Series. We're doing a list of basic tasks to get ourselves familiar with Google Cloud Provider, that is GCP. We are following the DevOps Engineer and SRE learning path, also available at cloudskillsboost.google/paths. You can always refer to my repository, the Cloud Terminal 01/learn-devops to get more details. For today's task, we have the following objectives. We will first download a pair of sample apps, Python and Node.js from GitHub. We will deploy the converter Python application to App Engine, debug the application, add some logging data, fix the bug, and then deploy a newer version of application. We will examine error reports coming out of Cloud Run in error reporting. Finally, we will examine a default and custom trace span. The total amount of time we will be spending will be around 20 to 23 minutes. So let's begin. Let's move on to our first subtask. Here we will enable the required APIs in GCP Cloud Shell Terminal. So I'll copy this and run them in Cloud Shell Terminal. Then let's clone this open source application, hello logging node.js.get. So this is a basic hello world example application written in Node.js and designed to explore some of Google's Operation Suite features. We'll be running it and deploying it in Cloud Run for our tasks. So let's build and deploy this application to Cloud Run. Meanwhile, let's open a new terminal and let's clone another application, which is GCP debugging application. This is a Python application, so we will be installing the required dependencies, and let's run it on local and test the app. Let's install the dependencies. And let's try running it locally. Let's open web preview on port 8080. So this converts Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let's go to convert temp and let's give the value over here as 212 and we get 100. Let's go back and look at the code. We will open editor in a new window. Let's wait for this to load. This is our main.py file. We have a route for slash, which renders index.html template present over here. Then we have a route for slash temp as well, which handles get and post methods. We used post method over here when we converted Fahrenheit to Celsius. And this is the associated Docker file, and this is the requirements.txt file which we used to install the required dependencies. And this is our app.yaml file, which is basically used as a configuration file for deploying to App Engine. So let's go back to our dashboard and stop this app. Let's run this to create App Engine application. So this is completed. Let's deploy the version 1 of our app to App Engine. Let's again wait for this to complete. Deployment is complete. Let's visit this URL. Again, let's go to convert temp. Let's enter 212, convert to Celsius, and our application is working as expected. Let's go back to terminal 1 where we deployed our Node.js application and click on the service URL. And this is also working as expected. Let's move on to debugging the application now. So I'll go to Debugger. So I need to authorize access over here. Let me complete this and come back. I completed the authorization part. You will have to check the box and click on authorize. After that, you'll be redirected to authorization page. There you can enter your GitHub credentials and authorize. Once all of that is completed, you will come back and this is the screen at which you will land into. Let's start debugging our application now. I have opened the main.py file. Let's go to this line and click on create snapshot. It's waiting for the snapshot to hit. So let's go back to our application URL and let's give 212 value over here and hit 2 Celsius. Let's go back and we see our call stack and variables. These are our variables. And this is our call stack. Let's retake the snapshot and this time we will give a different value. Let's give -40 as the value and it says invalid input, which says that something is wrong with the application. So let's go back and these are the variable values. And this is our call stack. So the isNumeric function is wrong over here and we need to change something is in this part of the code. So let's go to log point and let's click on line number 31 and let's create a log point. We will change these values to this one and we want the info level to be warning and click on add. Let's click on update and click on view logs. Let's go back to over here, click on convert to temp. Let's give the value of 213 and click on convert to Celsius. Let's refresh this. And we got 213 as well. 213 was cast to 213.0, which is correct. Let's go back and give the value as -40 and this gives us invalid input. Let's go back, refresh again. And it says that -40 was cast to enter a number. That's because we get into the else part over here in this code, and Fahrenheit becomes enter a number, and Celsius is invalid input. So we go over here and it says that our input was -40 and this was cast to Fahrenheit, for which the value is enter a number. So we need to fix this bug which requires us to change the if-else logic over here. So let's go back to our editor and let's remove this part of the code, and we will change it with this try catch block. Now let's save our changes and deploy the second version of our application. So I'll go to GCP debugging, cat main.py file, and our changes are over there. So let's deploy the version 2 of our application. This will not make a difference because we are already in GCP debugging directory. Basically, we are running this command which is deploying the second version of our app to App Engine. Changes are deployed again. Let's visit this URL. Let's go to convert to temp. We will enter 212. This is working as expected. Let's see whether -40 works or not. This works as well. So we have fixed our bug in application using the debugger in GCP console. Now let's move back to our Node.js application. So I'll go back to our editor, close this. Let's open hello logging Node.js. Open the index.js file and search for this route /uncaught. This basically calls a function which does not exist, and we get a error over here and the control never reaches this. So let's go to our application URL and call this route. As expected, we get error. I've called the route only once. Let's call it 3 more times. Now let's go back. Let's open all products and check the error reporting service. And we see that we have 4 events of errors for our application. We can click on this and get more details. We can check the stack trace over here as well. This is what it is saying. It says that the error is at index.js file and it's calling this route /uncaught, and it's at line number 120. And if we go to line number 120, we see that this is where we are getting the error. If we click on the error, we go to the debugger, but the repository is not correct. So let's create a gcloud source repository. We'll go back over here. Let's create a repo and push our changes to the remote repository. Our changes are pushed. Let's go back to our debugger. Let's do a hard refresh over here. Let's click on cloud source repositories. We want the repository to be hello world. Let's use the master branch, select this source. So over here we have used the correct repository now. This is our index.js file, and I believe this should be hello logging application. The source again, let's use this one, which is a cloud source repository. Let's do a refresh. So we have selected all the requirements. Let's go back to our error page and click on this. So it opens the right file, which is index.js, but it does not automatically go to the line. Let's search for the route which is uncaught, which is correct. Let's create a snapshot at this point. I will click on line number 120 and create snapshot. It's waiting for the snapshot to hit. So let's go back to our URL and do a hard refresh. Let's go back to debugger, which is this one, and here is our stack. These are the variables. This is the request, this is the response, and this is our call stack, which just says anonymous function on line number 119. So in our next subtask, let's examine default and custom trace span. So I'll again go to all products, select trace, let's click on auto reload, and it gives the request traces for the HTTP API calls which we had called in last few minutes. It shows the /uncaught call which we did 2 minutes ago. If we click on this, we get more details as well. How much time all the hits took. We have a route in our application /slow, which internally calls 2 more functions and then returns this response. So let's go back to our application URL and call this route. Let's go back to traces. Let's do a hard refresh. Let's wait for our changes to reflect. Our changes are reflected now. We can see the /slow call. Let me click on this. And you see that the total amount of time was 751 milliseconds, and internally 2 calls took these many milliseconds. Now let's add a custom trace to our application by adding a couple of manual trace spans. So we will head back to our editor and let's change this part of the code with this one. I will comment this part. Now let's head back to Cloud Shell terminal. Check our changes in index.js file. Our changes are there. Let's build and deploy our changes again. Our changes are deployed. Let's go to the application URL again and let's hit /slow. Let's go back to trace and check our changes again. So this is our latest call, and if I click on this, we now have additional information related to the call, and we are able to see that the majority of our latency is in this slow pi2 call. So that's it for today's video. See you in the next one.